let's move on to our main topic today. I did want to talk about Full Circle, but maybe we'll hold that conversation. I have notes, but since we're running out of time, let's jump ahead to our main topic today, which is telemarketers. Telemarketers is premiered on Max. This is a HBO production, I think. Yeah, it's an HBO original documentary. Premiered on Max Sunday night, this past Sunday. And basically follows like two telemarketing employees who start working at this company called CDP, CD something. And
CDG,
then CBG,
CDG, I think.
CDG. And then they start filming like all of the shenanigans going on inside the company, and ultimately two of the guys decide that they're gonna try to take the company down from the inside as they see the marketing scam that they're actually being employed to execute, taking money from these people that they call. Um, I think this was produced by man, what's his name? The guy who
There
plays.
were a ton of producers. The Safdie brothers were one of the set of producers on there, and you really see their style and
Yeah, you
influence come
see their
out, I
style,
guess.
and the other guy I think is the guy who plays Kenny Powers. What's his name? Nobody. You know what I'm
Uh,
talking
the,
about.
yeah, the name escapes me right now because I actually haven't watched any of his shows, East Down and Bound, any of those. I haven't watched any of those, but I know
I
who you're talking
I
about.
think he's a producer too, um, and it has that flavor. All of the footage is from I think early 2000s. Oh, Scott just posted it. Yeah, the Safdie brothers,
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. That's his name. So it does have some flavor to it, but I think a lot of that comes to the era that this was filmed in. I think we've been used to watching films or documentaries from 80s, maybe 90s and before, and this I feel like it kind of like captures our generation in a bit. It's also in New Jersey, uh, and we're all originally from New York, so there's that sort of familiarity there. So it did feel very, these characters felt very relatable to me from my era or the era just before. Um, but yeah, uh, it's funny. Like I try to look up reviews for the show. I couldn't find any. I couldn't find almost any content. There's no one really
I
talking
mean,
about
it's
this
so
show.
new. It literally just came out. I saw it on Sunday when it premiered.
I saw it
Um,
last night. Scott,
so
did you
it
get to
might
watch it?
it might
Yes,
be
I
too
did.
soon.
There's quite a bit of articles about written up about it, and what this is probably one of the few shows that are series that are on Max, uh, because it's premiering as part of it being on HBO. So when you have a streaming service, the average person doesn't understand why they have to wait until 10 p.m. for it to appear on the app. It's because that's when it airs on TV on HBO for those who actually have HBO.
It did premiere pretty late.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's a
and
typical Sunday
also,
night lineup.
it's a 3 part. Uh, says it's a 3 part documentary series, so maybe you'll hear more online about it after all 3 episodes come out.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I saw a lot of news articles because they did a lot of press, but no sort of reviews or people talking about or talking about their reaction. Um, but it's gotten 100% audience score, 93 critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's been really well received. I think in part because of the main characters. Sam Lipman is mainly the guy with the camera, and then the other main character, who's a total wacko, hilarious, smart guy, is Pat Pespas, who, yo, this B roll, all the footage is just out of this world, man. It's like these guys were in college just hanging out, doing coke, smoking weed, having sex in the bathroom. Uh, so this company employed pretty much like people who were underage and people with criminal histories because they did no background check whatsoever. They just wanted you to get on the phone and sell and make money, and they're really, really, really successful. But the Big Ed. Big Head was on point, just trolling everybody who was like a manager at the company. What like standout moments do you guys remember just from like the visuals or the sound bites? Anything? This thing is crazy.
I don't remember her name, but that one woman they kept on interviewing that was
Oh
like
yeah, she's
on,
great.
she was screaming at the camera. I don't remember the lines, but a lot of the lines that she was saying was making me laugh, and they were just completely direct of what she was just saying. Like, no one really give a flying. What was it? It was like a circus. The employee, the bosses didn't care what they do as long as you came there and you were able to pick up the phone. That's all that mattered. It didn't mean that you were high and all this stuff. It didn't matter as long as you're able to pick up the phone and speak and read the script on the computer. That's all they care.
Yeah, they had the scripts on the computer, and then they had these sort of like uh tree dialogues where like if a customer says this, say this. If the customer says this, respond with by saying this. So they're pretty much automated at that point. But when they introduce Pat, I think someone is filming him and he's like asleep on the call, and he wakes up mid call just to deliver the next line on the script to the customer. He's basically doing coke and heroin at work. One guy is like, "Yeah, someone was selling pit bulls out of this place." It was-
That was crazy. That part, and then they showed a picture of the little pit bulls too. Oh man, yeah, man. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Like the amount of footage that this guy got is incredible. Um, it was like just watching this was like taking a trip in on a time machine back to like the mid aughts, that like era of like a little past the early 2000s where like people were wearing like do rags and like long shirts and like this hip hop culture was still around. Like even the white guys in there are all like you know
All thugs.
oh man, yeah, and wow, just I loved it, man. This is incredible. I mean, I'm a fan of the Safdie brothers' work, Uncut Gems and Good Time. I
Good
love
time, yeah.
those two movies, and this is just like this just cements it and makes me like a really like just a fan of their work because it's all just like really gritty, grimy, like scumbag stuff. I honestly, I know you sent the trailer. I didn't watch it because I just went by the advice that you guys said that this is gonna be good. So
Oh,
I,
so
I
you
couldn't
didn't
be,
expect any of that.
I couldn't believe what I was watching. I knew it was real because I don't think HBO documentaries messes around and makes mockumentaries. Like they're pretty prestigious about their
Yeah,
documentary
they don't mess
division.
around.
Um,
I was
so
hooked.
I wanted to, in the back of my head, I wanted to think that this isn't real because there's so much footage of this stuff, and like the story just keeps getting crazier and crazier, and it's like, ex convicts, drugs, all this guy, like the guy that performed the best, performed better when he was on heroin, and it's like you had to make $200 an hour, and just the fact like that, just the purpose of the business where you can call on behalf of of a real organization and ask for donations on their behalf and only give them a partial very small amount of what you're making and then keep the rest. Like
10%.
I didn't know that telemarketing companies like they could do that, or that's part of telemarketing is you're basically marketing for other organizations on their behalf. So
And in the
But they're doing.
second part, they were able to say that they were the cops themselves or the firefighters or the veterans or whoever they were pretending to be. They were
well
saying, and
that's
they
where the
got
legal
100%.
woes and problems started coming in that we'll find out more about in the next episode. But like I remember my parents, my dad specifically got by this scheme. I remember
He got the sticker?
the fraternal order of the police calling my parents' house and my dad giving them money for like 2 years in a row. So
Damn.
this is real. This happened. This
No,
is
it's very real. Yeah.
I remember I used to get the calls. I remember picking up the phone, and I would get these calls. I was maybe
yeah.
like like I was much younger, I'll get these calls, and I would pick up the home phone. I'll be like 12 or 13, and be like, "Oh, can I get some like print material to learn more about the organization?" They're like, "Oh yeah, sure, we'll send it to you." I go, "Okay, great, thanks," and I hang up the phone.
Yeah, everybody, bro. I think everybody got with this scheme
Yeah,
at some
yeah,
point, or everyone's parents got at some point. And this was before cell phones blew up, so it was like calls to people's houses and stuff. So they'd pick up. Um, but yeah, I remember my dad gave money one year, and then they called back the next year, and he got pissed off, and he gave them money again. And
you got
I don't know.
the gold
I don't know what I don't know what happened after that, but
It
yeah,
was
because they. I mean, it sounds legit, and then you get a decal in the mail to put on your car, like you donated and you're friends with the police, the
It makes you
local
feel
police
good, yeah.
league.
it
But
So
they
was it
get
was
you with the
most
sob stories, right? They're like, oh, this is gonna go out and help the families of fallen police
yeah,
officers and things like
yeah,
that.
or like it'll help us, purchase new equipment because we're short on funding and all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I didn't get what I loved it. Absolutely loved it, 100%. I wish they would have gotten a little more, and of course they may still do this. But in that first episode, I wish they would have talked a little more about the guys who started this. It just
Yeah.
seems like they just brushed over it really quickly and named the two men that started this business. And I kind of wanted to know more about, or maybe I just didn't understand the part when they mentioned it, but like, is it that the police themselves can't ask for donations, so they hire telemarketing companies to do it on their behalf?
No, I think the scam is police can do their own donations, but these guys they approach the police and they say, "What is your goal?" For example, "Oh, you want to raise 350,000? We'll give you 350,000. Just give us the rights to ask for donations, so that they make their money back." But
Yeah,
that's basically the scam. They get the rights. They get the
yeah,
okay
yeah,
from these.
yeah. I understand that. I just wasn't 100% sure if that meant that the police department themselves weren't allowed to ask for donations
I think they are, and because I
themselves.
think they actually do now. I mean, I get calls from police once in a while asking for money. I usually hang up. I don't know if they're legit or not, but I always hang up. I
It
assume
could
they're
it might
legit, but
still it
maybe
might still be the scheme, or maybe the scheme uh caused made it that it all got shut down, and now they're actually asking for money. So.
I like when they show like the Spanish speaking side.
They were all standing up and like getting
Because the guy was like, "Yo, this is genius." They call these people who are, you know, they're more fearful of the police because they're not originally from here, so they use
hey, you
those
made a good
tactics and
point.
scare them into making money, and then they show like a whole department of Spanish speaking
You
telemarketers
made
just
a good point.
conning
Yeah.
people, man. It's
There
so
was this there
brutal.
was this part that I loved, that was when they went to Pespa's. They were like interviewing Pespa
Oh, in his home.
at his home, and his wife was in the back cooking hot dogs. She asked
Boiling
him,
hot
"How many
dogs.
hot dogs?" And he's like, "All of them. Just throw all of them in there."
There's boiling hot dogs back there. Yeah.
My dad used to pick up the phone, and when they used to call, or they used to of course call like, "Hi, would you like to donate?" And then my dad would then pretend that he was calling them and say, "Would you like to donate?" And he goes, "I'm not here. I'm not asking to donate. I'm asking you if you want to donate." My dad goes, "No. Would you like to donate to the so and so organization?" And the guy's like, "No, no, no. I'm asking you." My dad be like, "No, I'm asking you." So pretty much the call ended with neither party getting a donation.
Yeah, whoever hangs up first wins.
That's smart. That's
Basically,
smart.
yes.
That's smart. But they had a whole like sheet and guide on how to get around questions and people asking stuff.
But not that one. They didn't have that one taken care of.
I
They,
guess they didn't have
they
that
couldn't
one.
get
Yeah,
around the 10%. That was the golden rule. You couldn't say you were a cop, and if they asked you about the 10%, that only 10%
you had
appropriates.
to admit to those two things.
If
Yeah.
you asked how much money gets contributed, you have to the other organization they had what made it. But usually, someone really wouldn't ask that
But
for the most part.
I'm curious where the story is going to go because we finished the show where Pat and Sam sort of, they get kind of fed up with this company and they want to sort of, you know, get back, expose them, I guess. And I'm wondering, like, I still get telemarketing calls. I don't know about you guys, but I see calls on my iPhone all the time that say potential spam. I ignore them. So I'm wondering, like, where they actually go. Are they able to take anybody down? You brought up the two founders, owners. Like, do they face any responsibility ultimately? So it'd be cool if they brought those guys back in. I don't know.
You said one of the founders was like a player for the Counting Crows, or like a '90s band. Is
He
that what you
played in
said?
a band with the guy from yeah, Counting Crows, or one of those
Was
bands.
that
Hmm.
it?
I don't know if it's
Pardon me
Counting Crows.
if that's not the band, but I just found that to be wild.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if that's the band, but some band that I recognized from the '90s for sure. Uh, um, and they did get busted. Like, they lost the multiple houses and cars and everything that they had. But then I think they just popped up another company. Um,
Well, it's I like the cliffhanger it left you on at the end of the first episode.
yeah,
I'm interested to learn more and to see the outcome of all this. And the cliffhanger was it wasn't very direct. It was kind of cloudy, so you don't know, like, okay, they're doing, the two guys are trying to take us down from within. Now they're being followed. They don't know if it's the cops themselves that are going to be threatening them, or like just like hired thugs from the company owners. But the cliffhanger made it sound like it's actually going to be the cops themselves that are going to be like strong arming them to
hmm.
stop their investigation. Because I mean, the cops are getting money from this too. So 10% out of, like, 30 million
Millions.
or however make much they're making.
Well, it's usually the unions or a nonprofit organization that represents the police. It's not really the police department that's
Hmm.
asking for
Yes,
donations.
my mistake. You're
Yeah,
right. Yeah, it's
but that's where
the
Yeah,
fraternal
yeah,
order of
that's
police.
where it gets
yeah.
confusing because when they call, hi, this is the so and so, you know, it's a organization that may not necessarily even represent the police themselves.
And
It's
then they
other.
got crazy with it. They started doing fire department, like
Veterans,
veterans, all sorts of stuff. Like, if you could
cancer
do the police,
causes.
if you could do the police, why not?
And they would just phone call, they would just call the same people with the same causes.
Yeah. And it's crazy that, like, these guys, like, they don't see anything wrong with, like, doing heroin, doing cocaine, having strippers, but like cancer patients, that's where they draw the line.
Yeah, yeah.
Imitating, imitate out of all the drugs and all this stuff, like calling on behalf of cancer patients. That's the line they wouldn't cross.
And they would also be providing suggestive payment plan, like this is what we recommend, but you also can give this amount as well. So they were guilting people if they couldn't afford $95 or so. They would say, well, you can also make a donation of $35 as well if that best fits your ability of
Yeah,
contributing.
they take anything. They would
Yeah,
try to start you off with a large amount, then they talk you down, and until you're finally like, oh yeah, $30 is nothing. I can give you
yeah.
And it was done by check. They would, I think, mail you something. They would mail out something, and the person would have to mail a check. There wasn't anything of going online. I,
Oh, okay. I
I don't
didn't
even,
catch that
I
part.
don't even think they were collecting credit cards. They weren't getting credit card numbers. It would then trigger something to be mailed, and the person would have to mail a check in.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think
I
So
that's
didn't
right.
catch that part.
Yeah, because
it
I
was,
remember at one point, uh, then one of the organizations, the acronym for the name of the organization spelled out cash. And the guys
Oh
would
yeah,
say,
yeah,
yeah, make out the check to CASH. And
yeah,
it's like, damn, they got him. And I don't
yeah.
know.
Like, if you didn't know you were getting got, the fact that you're making out a check to cash is
that was in that. They also have that in the trailer as well
It's such a scumbag move, and these guys were making millions on millions on millions. Maybe they still are. We don't know. But man,
oh man, yeah. I need a. I'm gonna go on the Safdie Brothers IMDb page and see what else they've been messing around with, because I feel like I need more of their stuff after this. It's just like it's just goons, man. Like all their movies are just
Yeah.
goons doing like goon stuff. Did anyone else get the or notice that like there was the footage, all the footage we're seeing, it was touched up to like look more low res, right? Like because
Some of it was.
this guy was shooting on DV, and some of this stuff, some of the footage looked like VHS filters were thrown on it. Like
I think they
I don't
did
remember
in
I don't
some
remember mini
sections.
DVs looking that bad.
I don't think. Well, in 2001, not everyone had a mini DV camcorder. They could have had, high eight or, but they didn't have mini DV was digital. We're getting technical here. Mini DV was digital tape, so
Yes.
it didn't look like mini DV to me.
It may not have been mini DV. It might have been a more consumer friendly format for that time. Um, but I still think they did add some VHS effects. I noticed mostly in the transitions and more of like the styled out
Mm.
sections.
Yeah, there
Um,
was some that had like mini DV effects with the boxes, the
yeah, yeah,
digital blue. That looked pretty organic, as if it was real.
yeah. But
But the name of the
it,
telemarketer company is Civic Development Group.
Yeah, CDG.
yeah, yeah. Okay, it's getting late. Let's leave it there. We come back in 2 weeks. We're gonna recap the series. Hopefully, there's a happy ending to this, and no one will ever get another telemarketer call again. But come back in 2 weeks. Like, subscribe. We'll see you later. Peace.